Oh, yeah. That intro, dude, it's never going to get old.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad. Hey, everybody, welcome to show 133 here on the Pucknologists. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a fantastic end to your weekend. And how can you not? Every game's going to overtime. There has been so much free hockey over the last 24 hours. How can you not enjoy it? I am AJ_Strong on the social media, and joining me, of course, the one and only Hockey_Jerk.
Yeah, it's been an incredible weekend of hockey. To your point, it's a bit of a boot to the groin that tonight's final game is a regular season game between two non-playoff teams, but whatever.
Dear Lord, like really, the schedule makers had an issue. Anyway, do us a favor, follow us on the social. Hit the subscribe button here on YouTube, but check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit. You can find them all at tealtownusa. Don't forget, if you ever miss a show, want to catch it again, it will be on your favorite podcast platform, on YouTube, and always at tealtownusa. So this time around, we're going to talk about, some player exit interviews, Doug Wilson's state of the franchise, if you will, and some playoff matchups. As you know, playoffs have already begun, but let's get into the Sharks game this week. But first, as we tend to do, we have to get Hockey Jerk his updated wardrobe. And, okay, dude, no free ads.
What? Oh, my God.
No free ads, dude.
Hey, it's a good chip. What can I say?
Hey, now. Bet you didn't see that coming. All right, so week for the Sharks to finish on a high note, right? Let's not get swept on the entire season by Vegas. We have an opportunity to deny Vegas the division and the President's Trophy. And in typical Sharks fashion, San Jose would stink up the joint in what is possibly or probably Patrick Marleau's final game in Teal. They get shut out 6-0.
I don't know, dude. Did you see his exit interview? He said he wants to have a better year next year.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's going to be in San Jose.
Or the NHL.
Yeah, no kidding. There's a lot of people playing in Europe. So, look, 6-0, just decimation. You can't hang this one on Melnichuk, of course, when half the team looked like they were trying to figure out who could book the earliest tee times the next day. We all know Vlasic said in his exit interview, which we will get to, dude straight up said, yeah, after the game I got the red eye going home. I mean, he was checked out.
In his defense, this game was not originally supposed to be played this day, so who knows if his flight was already scheduled and then he had to tweak it.
True that. Hey, super chat already. Thank you so much. This is awesome. David in the super chat saying, thanks for making this season as much fun as it could be. I really enjoyed the show. Dude, that is awesome. Totally appreciate it. Thank you for recognizing the effort.
And you know what? $5 donation. This is the season finale for season 5.
Oh,
so just saying.
Oh, that goes together well. If you'd like to join David, if you'd like to support the show, you can use the super chat option. We prefer Venmo. You can find us at tealtownusa on there. We prefer it just because we get all of your donation versus giving Google their cut.
I'm still convinced that the percentage they take from super chat donations is going to be used to fund the Googleplex in downtown San Jose.
Oh, you right.
I'm convinced that they're going to, lower us down one more time.
So back to the game versus Vegas. Shots on goal after the first period were 20-6. This was the Sharks' 6th loss in their final 7. Yeah, guys are checked out, man. They were like, yeah, it was a fun ride. 56 game, as Rocket says, 56 game preseason in the books. Wait till next year. Wait till October. Jesus Christ. So that's the way it ends. And yes, for Sharks Last asking, am I in win it for Jumbo mode? You betcha. Until Jumbo's no longer in it. Then this will magically turn into a Colorado Avalanche jersey, just letting you know.
There you go.
So following that, we had some player exit interviews, which were somewhat telling. We talked about Vlasic earlier, who said he hasn't been asked as of yet by Doug Wilson to waive his no move. In a somewhat defiant tone, he said, I'm here to the end. I would have signed somewhere else if I wanted to play somewhere else. He also said Doug doesn't want to rebuild. He wants to be a part of the playoffs. He wants to win every year. Good luck with that when you look at the contracts he's doled out. But we'll see. My favorite one, of course, being Martin Jones in his exit interview saying, I have to be more consistent. Sir, have you looked at your save percentage over the last 3 seasons? You are the picture of consistency. Consistently bad. And, of course, the thing I want to point out here, Jerk, is you can look at 896, 896, 896. The thing that gets me is shots against 1699, goals against 294. Then a year later, the shots against go down to 1139, and yet the goals against goes up to 3. Then this past season, shots against goes down to 980, and yet the goals against goes up to 328. This is a problem, sir.
Yeah, well, when, he's saving the same percentage of shots, as you pointed out, but he's facing less shots. He's also allowing more goals. So, I mean, I don't know what more can be done to defend or justify or explain his performance. I mean, the bottom line is it's just not National Hockey League caliber. I wouldn't even say it's backup caliber.
You're right. Another thing that was said during the exit interviews by Logan Couture, when asked if the culture in the room has changed, he said, no, not enough. That's a little frightening to me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Especially
because, I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's been intimated elsewhere that the culture has improved since last year.
Improved, but according to Couture, not enough.
Right. So I'm just like, are they going to have to rebuild the off-ice performance first? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, I mean, I know, like, Evander Kane and Erik Karlsson, like, they're the new blood to the old guard, if you will. But even then, they've been here for, Karlsson has been here, for 3 years now. Evander Kane has been here for almost 4. They are the old guard now when you think about it. Mm-hmm. And aside from them, Jones, Vlasic, Couture, Burns, Hurdle, like these guys have been here for a minute. So, to me, like these are all guys that know each other. I don't understand what the disconnect is.
I don't want to get into a whole thing. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. Everybody and their mother knows my feelings on Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know that has a whole lot to do with the team culture. Maybe it does. We don't know. The interesting thing about Karlsson, in his roundabout way, he goes, there's been bumps in the road that not many people know about. Or there's things going on behind that not many people know. Well, what the hell does that mean?
I don't know. I think what he's saying is that, people are so quick to jump to conclusions when they don't have all the information, which is actually true, because how many times have we said, assume all you want, but until you know the truth, you know nothing.
Yes.
So I know that we said that there was 0 to talk about for this game against the Golden Knights on Wednesday, but I do have 2 things I want to say. Number one, you said you can't really pin the game on Melnichuk, and I agree. 864 save percentage, not very good, but he also made 38 saves. That's pretty good body of work, I would say. Number 2, every player in the lineup that night, all 6 defensemen, all 12 forwards, were at least -1. Nobody was even. Nobody survived.
Nobody
And
escaped unscathed.
Yeah, and that's all there is to say about that game.
Well, let's play our favorite game, of course, the Hockey Jerk. Will they be better? You remember at the start of the season, Hockey Jerk said, look, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. I'm just saying they will be better than they were last season. And survey says, after 56 games, the Sharks went 21, 28, and 7 for 49 points. The previous year, after 56, they were 24, 28, and 4 for 52 points. I mean, we're talking 3 points here. Pretty damn close, though.
Not only that, but if you the point accumulation pace that they were on this year, if you apply that to the amount of games they played last year, which was 70, they would have hit 61 points, which is only 2 points behind the pace they were on last year. So, again, to your point, I was wrong, but I was not totally far off.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, dude, we're again, I go back to the idea that, look, everybody again talks about it was that stretch during the SoCal games that they had it. And
no way. I'm sorry to interrupt you. 4-4 game.
yeah, no, I don't think I'm not paying attention out of the corner of my eye.
Giving it the horse eye, if you will.
Yeah, the horse eye, dude. 7 minutes left in the third. Tampa and Florida have tied it up if you're watching live. But we knew this because every game in the first round, of course, is going to overtime. And we'll get to that shortly. But, yeah, the Sharks, it's, I mean, again, there was so much talk about culture change and Bugner was going to come in and he was going to have his full staff, not the ones that he inherited and all that, you know, with Ricci and Nabby, although he did end up keeping Nabby. But, and then Ricci was here for how long? Because who was it? Madden couldn't get a passport or whatever?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I felt like listening to what Doug Wilson said, listening to some of these exit interviews, I'm going, guys, like, I'm not trying to bust your balls, but I'm hearing a lot of stuff that I heard a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly, you know, this year was supposed to be like a year of progress, you know, and to the naked eye, it doesn't seem like there was much progress that came with it. But, you know, I think there are certain facets of this team, and, you know, we talked about goaltending, still bad, defense, still bad. Some of the forwards, they're not where we want them to be, but I would say compared to last year, I think the forward depth, generally speaking, I think improved. You know, you would Hurdle, despite, you know, getting COVID, obviously, Hurdle had a bounce back year. Evander Kane had a very good year. I thought Kevin LeBanc had a very good year as well.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you look at guys like Balcers and Barabanov, who came in, and made impacts right away. So, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that everything is better, no need to worry, but I think.
But what does it tell you though about this lineup that they had to get, you know, that they had to pull in Balcers from the waiver wire and make the trade for Barabanov?
Well, it tells me that they, you know,
somebody has made a mistake somewhere.
Well, I was gonna say at those moments in time, you know, they clearly didn't feel that they were equipped to field a group of 12 forwards that could play NHL minutes, you know, and that's why you bring in, you know, like I said, Balcers, Barabanov, even trading for Ryan Donato, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then conversely to what you're saying, then you also had guys like Sorensen who couldn't crack the lineup half the year. Timo Meier, who definitely, I mean, he'll tell you had a crappy year.
Yeah, and at least he knows it,
right?
You know, like if he had come out and been like, yeah, you know, I thought I played hard this year, and then, you know, it just didn't go our way. Like I would not have been buying it. But the fact that he kind of, you know, he took his share of the kicks to the shin, if you will, and, you know, at least he knows. But you mentioned Sorensen, and we were kind of joking around that, like, after the trade deadline, we just stopped hearing about Sorensen altogether. Like, I don't even think he was skating with the scratches at practice. And so then to see, and say what you want about the World Hockey Championship, but to see that he got the call from Sweden to go to the World Championships, I was very surprised by that. Obviously,
you and I both.
I mean, the World Championships, it's Europe guys in European leagues who stand out and guys who don't make the NHL playoffs. Like, that's not a big secret, but man, I thought for sure there'd be some better guys to go.
I'm telling you.
I mean, you get to represent your country after being a healthy scratch for half the year and only scoring 1 goal. I mean, that's talk about doing the least amount of work.
Yeah. Well, and can we rewind the clock, a season or so ago where it was like, oh, Sorensen had 17. I bet you he can hit 20.
Yeah. He only got 1.
So let's get into some quick questions here. Will owner Hasso Plattner fire Doug Wilson? No. Doug Wilson's got him in the back pocket. He's a believer. Does this mean Wilson is going to fire head coach Bob Boughner? Of course not. You're not going to fire him because look, he's got 2 more years left on his deal, and it's so far he has. Can we talk about the preseason? There wasn't one. And then, and then the first 12 games are on the road. I mean, these are not optimal conditions. So I think Boughner is going to get the benefit of the doubt. And now, is that to say that when the schedule comes out, it's 82 games. We've got fans in the stands. For the most part, we are back to normal in society, at least in a hockey society. Now, if you tell me then the Sharks, I don't know, they play 40 games and only win 15, then hey, maybe Boughner gets a boot. I don't know. But as John King likes to say, we're not there yet.
It's just really hard for me to give Boughner any criticisms. I mean, the fans and Doug Wilson and everybody, they expect Bob Boughner to be the coach for a playoff team. Like, that's not some big secret. But it's kind of hard to be a playoff team when you are not given a playoff lineup by your general manager.
Exactly.
And let's not forget, like, I've probably defended Doug Wilson the most in the last year out of everybody who contributes to Teal Town USA. But, even I can sit here and tell you, like, if Doug Wilson fired Bob Boughner, it's not because of poor performance. It's because he needs a scapegoat.
Absolutely. You look at when was DeBoer fired? Like 30-ish games in, I want to say?
I think at the very
maybe 28?
Middle of December, I believe.
Yeah, so you're talking October, November, middle of December. So at that point, maybe you're talking, 28 games, 30 games played, maybe around that point.
Sure.
Either way, the fact remains, if you go and you look at DeBoer's winning percentage over those first 2.5 months, and then you look at Boughner's winning percentage from then until COVID, they're almost identical. So It's like, you can't, was it DeBoer, was it DeBoer was that bad? Was Boughner not very good? Or was it just like, it's that whole idea of like, look, if you want me to cook an amazing gourmet meal, you can't give me, rotten ingredients.
Well, and it's like I always say,
I don't care how good your chef is.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like I always say, people can bitch and complain about the coach all they want, but at the end of the day, the coach is not the one who's putting on skates and going out there.
Yeah, execution, motherfucker.
That's what I'm saying is like, and I don't look at this roster and say, oh, I mean, there are some points of this roster where it's like, yeah, you need to do more, but it's like, I don't really know how you can give anybody who moonlighted on the fourth line this year. I don't know how you can give them any grief because I feel like the fourth line as a whole was punching up all year.
Absolutely. And so,
like, yeah, you didn't do what we wanted you to do, but you did pretty well considering where you should be. So,
Yeah. And again, we mentioned this a show or two ago where it just felt like, look, that fourth line was starting to become a bit of a reward for Cuda players that were performing well.
Right.
You know? And Puck Guy letting us know that PDB was actually fired on December 11th. So
there you go. Which I believe is adjacent to middle of December, I would say.
it is adjacent. So team's top priorities, obviously finding a goaltender. I've been told, they say, you know what, you know, they say that,
all-knowing.
Yes, there could be a decent amount of goaltenders available in the offseason. Should be interesting to see what Doug Wilson comes up with. But there has to be a change at this money. I mean, smart money is on a Jones buyout. Yes.
God willing.
I mean, you can't do this 4 seasons in a row, right?
I think it all depends. It all depends on where. Not like it all depends on where Doug Wilson and the team, like where their thoughts are for next season. Like if next season is another growth year, keep him. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah, but okay. So, but if he does that though, how is it not a rebuild? You know what I mean? How do you not call it a rebuild at that point?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but and then it creates further questions where it's like, okay, yes, so we need a new goalie, but depending on what you think the team will be next year, I think determines who you bring in. I mean, do you go after somebody who's not a full-time starter? Like, do you go after like a Devin Dubnyk, an Aaron Dell? I know there's 2 former Sharks, but like David Riddick, you know, like somebody who's like a backup or a 1B, and you just play the hot guy. Or if you think that you're going to have some miracle resurgence, you know, do you go after somebody like Tuukka Rask or Frederik Andersen?
Ooh. I have some weird thing that I feel like Alex Stalock is going to be back.
I would agree with you, except Chief, he's still under contract with Edmonton. So.
Yeah, well, hey, stranger things have occurred, my friend.
True, I'll give you that.
So the other issue, of course, among top priorities is finding. Now, here's the thing I think is funny is Doug Wilson said a whole thing about adding a third center.
Yes,
I'm like, can we add a number 1 center?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Like, what if Logan was your third center and Hurdle was your second, and we got a number 1? How about that? You know, cash me outside. How about that?
Well, I think, you know, unfortunately, I don't think that would work, just because I think you would be, you know, if you have Couture or Hurdle on the third line center, I mean, where do you find minutes for all these guys? You know what I mean? Like, and I hate to say like, oh, maybe Jack Eichel, because it's not happening. But
yeah,
like, let's just say for argument's sake, like that's the person the Sharks wanted to target. Like, there's no way, just by position, by trade value, there's no way Hurdle is not the centerpiece of that return for Jack Eichel.
Exactly. So,
but as our co-worker Ian Reed likes to say, you know, Buffalo is not going to trade Jack Eichel to the Sharks before they trade him to the LA Kings.
Absolutely right. So, well, let's talk about the RFAs then for a second. So, you have Ryan Donato. I'm going to be honest. I don't see a reason for him to return.
Can you tell me why?
No. Okay. No, of course I can. Because again, it's, you know, I don't want to sit here and say Bodker syndrome, but sure. It's the case of Chief was talked up as, you know, this is going to be a guy who helps shore up the top 6, and, you know, halfway through the season, he was on the third line, then the fourth line, then he was taken off the power play. It was just, and for those of you watching live, Tampa Bay has just taken a 5-4 lead with 1:14 left.
Wow.
Anyway, but yes, that's where I stand with Donato, is that, you know, look, if he had like started well, which he did, I thought, you know, he was, I mean, shootout specialist, but if he had a dip and then came back up, yes. but then you saw Balcers and Barabanov make him expendable, essentially. So that's my take on that. Is I feel like, to coin a phrase from Ian Reed, he's just another guy from the Guy Factory. I think there's somebody that you can find with the CUDA that can do what he did this season.
So let me ask you this counterpoint.
Yeah, whip it out.
Excuse me. If, and again, this is just a hypothetical, so don't read into this as any sort of hint, but let's say Ryan Donato is re-signed at third line money and plays on the third line.
What's third line money? Because he was getting how much this year? 1.9?
He was making 1.9 million.
Okay. What's third
Which
line
I would
money?
say I would say third line money is in that ballpark,
well,
plus or minus.
To be fair, Marcus Sorensen was getting 1.5 to be on the bench.
Yes, but when he signed that deal, do you happen to know what line he was playing on?
Third
line.
There you go. With Jumbo, yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah. See, again, pointing out that Jumbo, that other line mates can help you.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, between 1.5 and 2.5, I would say. Like, if you get him to third line money and he plays on the third line, does it really matter? Because I mean, I know people are going to talk about his play in the defensive zone, and they're right to bring that up. But you look at the offensive talent he has, and it's just.
Well, it was Bugner bringing it up.
I know. But I'm
he
just
needs
saying
to work on his details in his 200-foot game.
No, I know, and I don't know. To me, Ryan Donato seems like an egg that just needs to be sat on for a bit longer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But
that's just my opinion.
Okay, but I will say that there were a few Minnesota fans that were, talking to Sharks fans, going, "Now you know why we were happy to see him go." But anyway,
yeah.
Jeffrey VL. I mean, if you want to
He'll probably take his qualifying offer, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, provided Chief can still see.
Yeah, no kidding.
Noah Gregor.
He probably, I don't know. You look at some of these extensions that guys have gotten.
Well, and let's point out that Ian will tell you from 20 Ways from Sunday. Doug Wilson loves to bend the RFAs over.
Oh yeah, if you're a restricted free agent coming off your entry level contract, like, don't even bother.
Yeah. So So Gregor, like what, like 1.2, like 2 years? Show me a deal.
No, are you talking about 1.2 per or total?
Per.
No chance. I think he's lucky if he crosses 900,000.
And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news: Tampa has beaten Florida, and the game did not go to overtime.
Looked like it, though.
Yeah, I thought it was.
And now coming up, a regular season game between two non-playoff teams.
Back to Gregor.
No, yeah, don't get me wrong, dude. I love Noah Gregor. Like, I have a jersey. I was probably the only one who was really into him when he was drafted. So it's not a secret. I'm a fan. But you just don't want to throw around that kind of money to a player like him. You give him, if you're being generous, maybe give him that, give him the Yoel Shellman deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which was 2 years, $750,000. The second year can be a one-way deal, and I think you call it a day. And I think you do the same thing with Joachim Blichfeld.
Okay, Rudy Balcers. I mean, to me, there's a cat who has earned a show me deal.
I give him the Barabanov deal.
Yeah, I could not agree more.
The only difference is, because he's a restricted free agent with arbitration rights, I could see it end up being a bit more of a fight. But even then, I mean, Balcers.
Dude, if you get him for a deal that cheap, and both Barabanov and Balcers, if they're able to prove that, top six, we belong here, but bitches.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think with Balcers, just based on the body of work that he's shown so far, and then I would say what I think he would continue to do at the very least next year, I would be comfortable with the Sorensen deal as like being the ceiling, you know?
All right. Gambrell, I'll be honest with you. I'm ready to let that ship sail.
Can't let it sail until after the expansion draft.
Yes. But
But
once that happens, adios.
and even then, and here's the thing, like Gambrell's got arbitration rights as well, but the difference between Rudy Balcers is Balcers has a body of work that he can point to and says, hey, there were nights where I was the best player. I have the numbers to back it up. I'm progressing in the right direction. I don't think Gambrell has been bad. I think Gambrell's taken a step forward this year.
Albeit a very small step, but yes.
Right, but I look at Gambrell's body of work and I don't really think he has a leg to stand on. I think maybe if they're being generous, I think maybe they'll slide him $1 million, but I don't see it more than that. I mean, especially because, you know, as a second round pick in 2016 who torched in college, like it's been a very slow burn. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like time to. I mean, again, like you said, make it available for Seattle, but bye-bye. Finally, Christian Jarosz.
Same thing as VL. He'll probably take his qualifying offer and call it a day.
That's exactly where I was at. So let's move on to the UFAs. A little trickier. Curtis Gabriel, bye.
Yeah, please.
With your shenanigans, take that shit somewhere else.
Dude, he was spoken of positively for the things, by myself included, when he fought Nick Delorier and Ryan Reeves and I believe Kyle Clifford, positive, sure, but the shenanigans in the Vegas game and the Arizona game, there's a reason why he hasn't seen the ice since that hit in Arizona.
And very quickly, I just want to acknowledge our friends on Venmo. Jerry, thank you for your donation. And Kathy, thank you for yours as well. We totally appreciate it. Thank you so much. Frederick Handemark, bye.
Okay. Do you care to elaborate on that a bit?
I just felt like he'd been given a couple opportunities in different parts of the season, and I'll forgive you the first game, jitters, nerves, whatever, but I just didn't see a whole lot anytime he was in there. And isn't Handemark like a pretty big boy?
Yeah, he's 6'4", 210.
Yeah, and I didn't really see him using that frame.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's fair. And he is 27 years old.
There's another reason.
And you know what?
24 maybe.
He put up good numbers with the Barracuda. He put up good numbers in the Swedish Hockey League earlier this year during COVID. So I don't think he's a bad player. Maybe he's just not a fit for the NHL, and that's the end of it.
There you go. Latunov.
I think if we're having this conversation a year ago, I think you get him signed and that's it. But I'm just, with the amount of players who were called up to the Sharks this year to get a look, and keep in mind, I'm pretty sure Latunov was one of the Barracuda leaders in goals this year. And so the fact that Homie...
Yeah, but was he one of the leaders because he was playing more games than anybody else there?
Hey, you know what, though? At least he's consistent, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like I said, I look at that, he's, led the Barracuda in goals. He was, 6th in points, tied for 5th in points. So, by that metric, you would say, okay, this is probably a guy who's in that handful of names that are going to get called up. He never got a call up. Yeah. So, and the fact that he's a Group 6 UFA, which basically means he hasn't played enough NHL games to remain an RFA, I wouldn't be surprised if he signs with another team.
All right.
Just because the Sharks are not going to give him a fair opportunity.
Yeah. Patrick Marleau. Please, God, no. Like, dude, love you, Chief. Love you for everything that you've done. I own your jerseys. I've got, dude, the photo over my right shoulder is of you. Like, love you, Mr. Shark. But it's time to move on. It's time.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it all year, right? Where it's like,
now here's the fucked up thing is that, but there's also something in my mind where it's like, Well, you know that you're going to get him for nothing, and you know exactly what he brings. So,
Right, and
and that like if he can be a mentor and but in those ways, then I'm kind of like, well, if it's only going to cost you $750,000 and he knows that he could sit half the season, like you're going to be kind of like player / coach, then I'm kind of like, look, if he knows he's going to be sitting from time to time, and he's fine with that, then I kind of, sway back to where, okay, maybe, you throw him the league minimum because, dude, who else is going to pay him more? You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. And I think...
And dude's just so comfortable. He's ingrained here. Like, even if Doug comes up to him and says, okay, Chief, year to year and year to year. Okay, one more $750K or whatever the hell the league minimum is. There you go. And dude, I could, for shits and giggles, some other team says, hey, Patrick, we need some help with some of our younger guys as well. We'll give you $1 million. And I think Patrick's going to go, no, I've made all my money. My family's here. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I mean, if we just slide on over to Cap Friendly, Patrick Marleau at this stage in his career has grossed, not net, grossed.
Gross?
Has grossed $96 million in his career.
Yeah, I think he's
and
fine.
That's not including, including any money that came in for playing for Team Canada. That's not including any money that came through any endorsements or sponsorship deals. So to your point, I think he's doing okay.
Yeah.
I look at it and dude, we've been over this. Like, I was vehemently against the Marleau reunion tour, but if you're giving him fourth line money and fourth line minutes and he plays well, I don't really see the problem with it.
Yeah. Like, if he's playing better than what you have in the system now, how can you be upset by it?
And even then, to your point as well, I think he would be more than understanding, like, if you want to lock him into that fourth line spot and have the other two players on that line just kind of be a revolving door, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm
people,
with you.
People, and that's the thing. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Patrick Marleau, he's not what he was," and those people are technically correct. But if you, again, it's the same thing we say. Oh, he plays like a fourth liner. Okay, well, last I checked, he was on the fourth line, so...
And you need fourth liners.
And you need a fourth liner, so I'm not really sure what the issue is.
Yeah. But Chester, of course, making a comment as well. If Marleau wants to win a cup, why would he sign with the Sharks? Because 31 other teams won't sign him?
I don't think he cares at this point.
I mean, I think he cares. I just don't think there's anybody out there that goes, yeah, 42-year-old forward on the fourth line that... Sure, bring him here.
I think a lot of I think if a team at the trade deadline wanted an extra forward, I think a team would take a sniff at that. But
dude, you know what? Look, the opportunity. Doug Wilson signs him for the minimum. Everything that we just went over, and who knows? Trade deadline comes up, and maybe he works out a deal with whoever. Say Colorado is in the, at that point is at the forefront of the everybody's pick to win the cup. You make some deal for future considerations here. Here's Patrick Marleau. We'll cover the rest of the fucking tab this season. You get him for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to get Chief a cup. You already did this with Ray Bourque. Do it again.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think a team is going to be signing him day one of unrestricted free agency. But again, if you get to the trade deadline and a team thinks that they can use him, I don't see why not. I mean, how much? You put 12 forwards and 6 defensemen out on the ice game to game. But how many times do you hear people say, "Oh, well, the cup teams they use 15 forwards and 9 defensemen"? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how many times do you hear that?
Yeah. Well, let's. Jesus Christ, let's get through this list.
It's important. It's important to talk about Marleau.
No, I know. Matt Nieto.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's already coming back.
Yeah, no. Keep him. Keep him. Now, will he get exposed to Seattle? I would imagine.
I would hope so.
Yeah. And would it be a good piece for Seattle to take? I would say yes.
Yeah.
Depending
sure.
on what the price is, sure. I mean, good guy found his place in Colorado.
Yep.
You know, good, speedy third line guy, can kill penalties, can score you the occasional shorty. Good guy to have.
Yeah.
So there's Nieto. Sorensen, bye-bye.
Yeah, dude, if he signs in the NHL, I would be surprised.
Dude, if he's not already in Europe, I'm asking myself why.
You know what?
Let me guess. You're on his Instagram, and it's like, yeah, he's teeing off from a place in Dublin, right?
No, dude, I think on Saturday or Friday, maybe. I think he was at Pebble Beach.
Okay, yeah. Show me the one where he's like playing in Dusseldorf.
Yeah.
And then finally, Greg Patterin. Bye. Who?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So.
Honestly, yeah. Nothing else needed.
Yeah. So the good of this season, of course, let's get into the highlights and lowlights. Look, I think the one thing we can say, Evander Kane. I mean, playing with the dark cloud of all the now, evidently, the bankruptcy thing, he's been having issues with this for like years. Like, it sounds like this was on his plate before he even came to San Jose. It's just that it wasn't public knowledge. But the fact that it became public this season, and yet dude excelled in my mind, got better. Like, remember, he was that the guy that was going to take a penalty at the wrong time and let his emotions get the best of him. He really tempered that in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I agree. He stayed away from all of the extracurricular activity. You know what I mean? He was tough, and he hit hard during the play when he was supposed to, and during the whistles, couldn't be bothered to get involved unless he absolutely had to. I liked it, you know what I mean? And, he had 42 penalty minutes in 56 games this year. And if you put that out over 82 games, that's his lowest amount of penalties in an NHL season since 2014-15.
Wow.
And keep in mind, he was injured for 60% of the year.
Oh, man.
And flip that around as well, 49 points in 56 games, again over 82 game season, 72 points, which is a career high. So clearly Chiefs priorities were perfect, you know what I mean? And
yeah, geez, can we get some more lawsuits against him? Dude performs.
And that's the thing that kind of burns me up a little bit is you'll see people who say, the Sharks need to get Seattle to take Evander Kane, and it's like, okay, but same thing we said with Patrick Marleau. He's getting paid $7 million and is scoring goals and assists at a $7 million pace. So again, I'm not sure what the problem is.
Yeah, like your rate of return on Evander Kane is actually like one of the shining bright spots of the season. So I don't get
exactly.
The other, of course, highlight of the season is Nikolai Knyzhov finding a spot alongside Erik Karlsson.
Mm-hmm. Which is no easy task.
Right. I think that was a happy surprise, just as happy as Ferraro was last season. So
right.
Those are a couple things that you can look at and go, yeah, that was good. Hello, Barabanov for Suomela.
Addition by subtraction.
Wow. Like, we were so happy to get rid of Suomela. Like, if Barabanov did nothing, we were like, yeah, well, it's what we had in Suomela, so...
Well, that's the thing. Like, worst case scenario, it's guy for guy.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And even you were talking about Mario Ferraro as well. So Chief spent most of last year. He was on the third pair with God knows who. A laundry list of guys. And he was averaging. He was averaging, I think, 16 minutes a night, which is good for a rookie defenseman.
Absolutely.
But then he comes in this year and basically,
he's like, excuse me while I drop 20 on your ass.
Yeah, we're going to play you with Brent Burns, and we're going to ask you to play 7 more minutes per game. And
he's like, bet.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing. You talk about somebody who came as advertised. Like, speaking of Evander Kane, I would say Mario Ferraro, same thing.
Speaking of advertised, have a look at Hockey Jerk's shirt. So look, there's there's that. Claiming Balsers, nice highlight of the season. Gets one piece back that you did lose in the Erik Karlsson deal.
And Balsers too, to your point, AJ, career high in goals, assists, and points this year.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, and that's, with like, he wasn't injured, right? But coming back to the Sharks, I mean, we didn't get him for a considerable amount of time because immigration issues and all that kind of stuff. Like, all that extra bullshit you have to deal with, like, it can mess with you on the ice. And so I thought he put up a very nice season, all things considered. And I'm of the belief that even when he wasn't scoring, like, he was making things happen. He was a guy where it was like, okay, put the puck on his stick and just let it roll.
Yeah. Now I don't want to start a turf war, but I'm just saying, Avocado coming in saying jalapeno better than sea salt.
I mean, see, that's the beautiful thing about America is you're allowed to have opinions even if they're wrong.
Another highlight, of course, of the season, Patrick Marleau breaking Gordie Howe's record. And for that, I say thank you. So now we can stop talking about it. Because I was, as much as I love Patty, I was starting to get a little Marleau fatigue. Like,
sure.
Yeah, I was getting tired of hearing about it. And it's like, buy this pin, buy this puck, buy this pennant, this shirt, this one. And it's like, but the thing is, I can sit here and bitch about it. I told you all this was going to happen. Like, this was the reason why you would keep Marleau here. As it's like, cha-ching, you're going to make a good amount of coin on that merch. Like, literally, Marleau's contract would pay for itself.
Yeah, no kidding. I think if we're talking about positives, Hurdle's bounce back, I think, was huge.
Yes.
Like, even
after that Rona.
Well, that's the thing is you could be totally free and clear of COVID and come back no problem. There are still some respiratory issues that are going to linger. So the fact that he was almost point per game while recovering from COVID is pretty damn impressive. It makes you wonder what he would have done if he was 100% healthy.
Yeah, but he did really have a kind of come back there after the Rona. So, I mean, dude, we talked about it last week that Hurdle line for like 5 or 6 games straight, dude, they carried the team. Nobody else was coming up with anything. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
And I think dark horse maybe a little bit. I think Kevin LeBanc had a bounce back year.
Analytically, absolutely. What was your module say on him? Break out your module, baby. We need to see those high quality, the high value goals. I'm interested to know how Tomas Hurdle did this season when it came to goal value.
So let's talk Kevin LeBanc. I have 3 things I want to say about him. So
yeah, whip it out.
So number 1, he
I need to get the sounder in here. Number 1.
so last season, 33 points in 70 games.
Oof.
Down year. This year, 28 points. So he was 5 points short, but he played 15 less games. So that's an improvement on the pace. Went from -33 to -9. Major improvement. Like, huge. Incredible. And he scored 12 goals this year. 8 of them were high-value goals.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably, at least this year, he didn't score as much as I think everybody wanted him to, but the proof is in the pudding. When he did score, it mattered the most.
Hey, now. What about who's the other player we're talking about on the module?
Tomas Hurdle.
Yeah, how was Hurdle this year?
So he had 19 goals this year, 8 of them high value, 8 of them mid value, 3 low value.
See, that's the kind of player I'm looking for.
Yeah.
We'll take a couple questions real quick because we are starting to run long here. Again, Avocado Flight. I apologize. I'm late. Might have missed it. Any talk on Bugner? Think he'll be back? Yes.
Yep.
That's what we said.
Yes, we talked about it, and yes, we think he'll be back.
Yes. So a couple more highlights, and let's just bang through these.
Really quick, I want to bang through one thing here.
Yeah, bang it out.
like, and I want to preface by saying this is, I'm being very tongue in cheek right now. This is totally not a legitimate take here.
Oh, you cheeky bastard.
Barabanov had 3 goals with the Sharks. All 3 of them were high value goals.
I'm shocked.
So I'm just saying.
Highlights of the season. Them jerseys. Can we talk about how the Heritage needs to be like the home jersey from here on out? Thank you.
Well, to me, it seems like they already wore it more than they said they were going to. So
Yeah, initially it was supposed to be like 8 games. It felt like they did it like 14.
So,
We'll see.
My official stance on the matter is we'll see.
We'll see. The retro, reverse, retro, whatever the hell they were called. Nice try.
You know what? The name and number kits kind of suck, but the jersey as a whole, I actually dug it.
I didn't mind it. Didn't hate it. I think I would have liked it if you flipped the gray and the black in that. I think, oh, chef's kiss.
Sure.
But remains to be seen. And remember, Jerk has already predicted that we will see, version 2.0 retro reverse boogaloo.
Yeah, reverse retro to recycled material boogaloo.
There you go. Let's talk about another highlight of the season. Miniseries. For all the shit that happened with this compressed schedule and everything like that, I really enjoyed seeing the same team back to back. And Gary Bettman mentioned that is something that they could use going forward. I enjoyed it. I would love to see the Sharks go down to SoCal and just spend a week in SoCal. Play LA on a Tuesday, Wednesday, take Thursday off, and then you play there Friday and Sunday, come back. I would have no issues with that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, there's a huge discrepancy when it comes across all the teams when it comes to miles traveled. And I think doing a more of a block schedule, if you will, I think would help that discrepancy. You're still going to see the discrepancy, but I don't think it will be as big of a deal.
Yes, and let me say, though, that for me, now that I think about it, the LA thing, Anaheim, that's actually a poor example. Simply because it's so close. But if you did that in Western Canada, where you can go up there and do 2 against Vancouver, and then maybe 2 or 2 against Edmonton, 2 against Calgary, and then come home, I think that would be kind of cool, and I think the Canadian teams would enjoy that, where they could slide down to Cali and be like, okay, yeah, we're going to, play here Thursday and Saturday in San Jose, then we're going to play Monday, Tuesday in LA, and then Thursday, Saturday in Anaheim, and be back home.
Well, and thing is, too, in a normal year, you play the teams in your division. You play them 5 times. You've got 2 at home, 2 on the road, and then the 5th game alternates every other year. So Some years you would have, 3 home games against that team. Other years it would be 3 road games against that team. So even if you say, even if you want to do the 2 at home and 2 at away, even if you want to split those up, whatever. But the extra game, I think, tack that on.
Yes.
Because we've seen, dude, we go over this every year, but it's I can remember, okay, so.
Well, you got their memories?
Yeah, so it's and this is just very, very rough example, but you'll have Sharks and Canucks March 3rd in Vancouver, and then March 10th, they'll play again in San Jose, and then March 14th they're back in Vancouver.
Yeah, stop that.
It's just I feel like you could save some miles there.
Yeah. Buddy, John, loyal viewer, love you so much, dude. AJ Jerk and Rocket and the new sponsor, Miss Vicky Sea Salt.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Thanks for another year of the Pucknologists. And hey, thank you for watching another year. So much appreciate it. Very cool. John is a regular in here, and we so appreciate that. Let's see. So we talked about the jerseys, Marleau, Barabanov, the mini season or the mini series schedule. I got 2 more highlights for you.
Sure.
I think you're going to like this one. I have 3 words for you, good sir.
Mm-hmm.
No more fanatics.
Yeah, that's certainly a positive. I I I,
Hello?
I think we'll see the full effect of that once full capacity fans are allowed back in the building.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you're already starting to see it on the website for the Sharks that they're selling more local merch. Not seeing that logo, so thank God. And then finally, the biggest highlight for me of the season, of course, was the return of the one, the only Drew Remenda.
Sure.
That's that's my dog.
Yeah, I thought it was cool that they would able. I thought it was cool that they were able to bring him back.
Now, can we get him a quality mic? Absolutely. Let's make that a
Yeah,
priority.
no
Get off the
kidding.
AirPods. But, dude, the fact that they brought him back in any capacity to me was shocking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely shocked by that. Now, that said, Hasso Plattner does not control the pre and post game, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I wish he did.
Yeah, right. So there, the lowlights. For me, I'm just going to point to February 27th. The Sharks are facing the St. Louis Blues. They had a lead in this game 4 different times and yet lost 7-6. That was the one where I just went, yeah, just put a nail in the coffin. It's done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The low light for me is just specifically, for now I have 2. Maybe I'll think of something. The fact that Martin Jones
Who?
the fact that Martin Jones to finish last season and over the summer put in a considerable amount of work to better himself, and there was nothing to really show for it.
Yeah, and if
To me,
anything, I'm
that's a
worried
low
Nabby's going to get the Spanish Archer for that.
Yeah. And secondly, got, Eric Carlson and Timo Meyer not bouncing back.
Yeah. I'll give you another one here, and I'll let you vamp on it for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the contracts? I mean, that's a low light for me. I mean, we talked about the UFAs and the RFAs. How does Doug Wilson dig himself out of the hole? And I know we've gone over this ad nauseum, but I'll give you this. What do you think out of all these big-ass contracts, whether it's Vlasic, Burns, Eric Carlson, Couture, Kane, Jones, Hurdle, Meyer, out of all these, and I think it's probably going to come from the blue line, but what do you think is going to be the contract that is currently there on the books right now that is over $5 million that won't be on the books come this October?
Well, I don't really touch the forwards because, say what you want, and there he goes. Say what you want about the way the forwards have all played this year. I mean, the alternative is AHL bodies. So you're kind of stuck with them. And I'm fine, like Kane, Hurdle, I'm fine being quote-unquote stuck with them. Meyer, yeah, he had a shitty year this year, but, I mean, he's 24 and he's shown skills and potential as a 30-plus goal guy. I don't really sweat that. Couture, yeah, the $8 million is a bit high, but, again, he was beat to hell this year, and I think still had an okay year. So I'm not really worried about that. As AJ mentioned, it's going to be the defenseman that I pull from, and I hate to say it because I think of the 3...
Say it, you coward.
Of the 3 big guns, if you will, I think he's been the best of the 3, but I think it's got to be Brent Burns just because he fits that Goldilocks zone of, his contract expires the soonest, and as I said, of the big 3, he's played the best in recent memory. And now I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, expose Brent Burns, because it's poor asset management to get nothing for an asset you can get something for.
Mm-hmm.
That said, what's the play there? No idea, because and Brent Burns has trade protection in his contract where he can basically say, you are allowed to send me 3 teams without my permission, and because I don't want to go anywhere else, those 3 teams are Vegas, Toronto, Tampa Bay. Good luck.
Dude.
So, what?
Nothing. Sorry, I just got like this weird commercial on the NHL Network. What's the dark-haired woman's name on the who does the stuff with EJ?
Jackie Redmond.
Yeah, she was wearing a dress that looked like she was on her way to prom or something. It was a little off-putting. Yeah.
Just
so
because
Burns, you think is like the one?
Yes, because Vlasic's contract is less dollars, but less dollars per year.
But it's longer, isn't it?
It's longer. It's a year longer, and Vlasic has gone off the cliff.
Yeah.
Gone further off the cliff than Burns has. Carlson's making more money, so it's a no-show right there. But also, same thing. I thought Burns played better than Carlson this year, if you can believe it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't. And again, I say it all the time. Like you have to look at these decisions with the information you had at the time. And aside from the Erik Karlsson contract, again, using the information we had at the time, aside from the Erik Karlsson contract, I don't really have a problem with any of these contracts based on the intention at the time.
Yeah.
Now obviously
things
get a little more rocky as time goes on, and that's when you have to adapt and adjust. So,
all right. The other, of course, the biggest low light for me, and this is not brand new, kids. I have a drum. The power play.
God, yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely horrifying. Horrifying. It had been 20 years since the power play finished as low as 14%. This is, and this is when you have two Norris Trophy winners to quarterback it, and yet it's that horrific. Ugh. The penalty kill, 80%, power play, 14%. Drew Remenda will tell you the century mark is key. Those two numbers have to add up to 100 or better if you're going to be successful. UFA.
Yeah, and I kind of alluded to it a couple weeks ago, but some of the numbers we're seeing, like you said, AJ, power play, and consecutive years without a playoff appearance.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's the 30th anniversary and we're throwing it back, but I didn't know
We'll go
that
back to 92, 93.
I was going to say I didn't know the Sharks from the 90s was part of the deal. You know what I mean?
Well, and then
like the Sharks missed the playoffs last year, 2020, and this year, 2021. The first time they missed the playoffs in 2 consecutive years in the 21st century.
Yeah, that's a kick in the smalls.
It's something to chew on for sure.
Well, and then the defense, as you were mentioning earlier, Burns was at a .52 point per game, his lowest since his first season as a Shark. Yikes. Vlasic's... Huh?
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, Vlasic struggles, ended up being dropped down to the third pair, and then Karlsson finishing with 22 points. His points per game were barely more than half of his career average. I had pointed it out earlier that this season was Karlsson's basically his worst since his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I maybe it's just me. I would think that you would expect a scotch more from the highest paid defenseman in the league.
And the third highest paid player in the league.
Thank you.
And you know what? And I'm not going to get into it because we've already gone for 64 minutes. Maybe Discord, or maybe if we get bored in the summer. But AJ asked me last year. He said, "When will you
get on my bus?
When will you criticize Erik Karlsson for poor play?" And I said, it would not be until we've seen multiple years on this current deal of poor play. And here we are. So I'm not going to get into it. That's your Owl Access Pass for whenever the next podcast is. That's your reason to come back.
So. I know. So key date.
I think
go ahead.
One more thing. I'm sorry. I think it's worth mentioning, and by no means is this an excuse, but I think it's worth mentioning that Karlsson and Burns probably would have had better seasons if the forwards up top had better seasons.
Yes. I think anybody would agree with that.
Not an excuse. I think it's just worth mentioning.
Absolutely. So key dates, the draft lottery. What is that? Is that July 2nd?
Unofficially, yeah, July 2nd.
All right. So we got the draft lot. I'm sure we're going to be live during that. July 21st is your expansion draft. The 23rd and 24th of July is the NHL draft. And then the 28th, boom, of July, free agency frenzy. Love it. A little different now that it's not July 1st, but go ahead.
You missed one. 24 hours after the playoffs end, which could be July 15th, could be July 12th, could be July 11th. The buyout window opens. So
let's see how far or how quickly Martin Jones is on that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the playoffs, everybody. Look, the playoffs. I mean, now look, we do this every Sunday. The playoffs started a little bit earlier, but Jerk and I did put our picks together, and these are on the NHL bracket, which means, yes, we actually had to do these, before the playoffs actually started. I'm not taking any picks back because of yesterday or today's outcomes.
And why would you? It's one game.
Yeah. Oh, and Puck Guy correcting us. June 2nd is the lottery, not
Thank you, Eric.
Not July. So thank you, June. I mean, thank you, Eric.
It's okay, dude. I almost said Aaron. So thank you, Eric.
Yes. Anyway, so here's your matchups, and so we can just bounce through this real fucking fast. So Toronto versus Montreal. And if I look on here, I see that Hockey Jerk has Toronto in 6.
I do.
And look at that. AJ has the same. I have a feeling this is going to go very quickly. And then we move on to Pittsburgh versus the Isles. Now, that game or that series has already completed game 1. The Isles are up 1-0 in that. But let's look at the picks. And what do we got? I have to go over. Look at that. And Jerk has the Isles in 7. I have Pittsburgh in 7. So that is one that we actually differ on. But
coin flip.
Yeah, coin flip. But still, we're pretty close. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked at your picks, so I'm. This is an education for me right now because I don't know where you are versus me. But let's move on to the Central. Carolina versus the Preds.
You know my thoughts on this one.
I was going to say we both have Carolina in 3 on this.
I think I said 5.
Okay, you got Carolina in 5. I have Carolina in 5.
Yeah, and you know what I said on Discord last night for those who were there. If you weren't there, you should be. If Nashville wins that series, I'm not doing another bracket challenge
ever again.
Yeah.
Yes. So Avalanche and Blues. I think this could be a fun series, but I don't know that it's going to last as long as some people do. But let's see how long Jerk thinks it will. I look over there, and Colorado in 6. What do I have? Colorado in 6. All right, let's get over to the other side of the North. Edmonton versus the Jets. Oh, I have a feeling we might differ on this a scotch. I'm not sure. So where the hell is it? Oh, there we go. So, holy shit, you have Winnipeg in 7?
Yep.
Yikes, I have Edmonton in 6.
And I want to say, just as a clarifier here, if Edmonton wins, I will not be disappointed or surprised. I just think that a lot of people are sleeping on Winnipeg, and I think Winnipeg has the tools to beat Edmonton.
I got you. And I feel that a lot of people are sleeping on the Wild. So, fine. Capitals and Bruins. And Jerk has Boston in 6. You bastard. I have Washington in 7. So, if Boston doesn't take it in 6, Washington will in 7. Florida and Tampa, which if you were with us at the beginning of the show, you know that Tampa took game 1 in that barely.
What a barn burner that was.
I still think Florida should have had that. But anyway, let's see here. Jerkman has Tampa in 7. I have Florida in 6. So I'm not feeling too good about that pick right now. I'm a little yikes. And then finally, the one that we all really give a shit about, Vegas and Minnesota. The Jerkman has Vegas in 6. I have Minnesota in 7. So I like this. We have a couple. The thing that I'm digging about this is that we've got some here that If they don't go 6, they'll go 7, and we've got the other team. I think this could be fun. But overall, I feel like we're very like-minded. Like I really didn't come off that there was anything that was like, oh my God, how do you not have them sweeping? Well, except for the Predators, but anything.
And I think too, like even, I made all my picks because I believe that's the team that's going to win. Now that said, if every single one of my picks are wrong, it's really not that big of a deal, just because how many, we talk about it all the time.
Dude, you're going to be pressed if the Predators win.
Yes, that's the one exception. If Nashville wins, I'm going to be very confused. But like all the other series, like, and I hate to use the word, but like the parity is real. Like the teams that make the playoffs are good. You know what I mean? Like if I was, aside from that Nashville Carolina series, if I was wrong everywhere else, not even really kind of surprised.
I'm totally with you, but the one that I think that I'm also totally with, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Win it for Jumbo. That's the one that, like, literally the only series that I really give a shit about. The Eastern matchups, the Central matchups, I don't really care. I'm all about the North and I'm all about the West. I want to see Toronto and face off against Edmonton. I think that would be a great series. I want to see the Avalanche versus the Wild because fuck the Golden Knights. I just, Canes versus whoever comes out of Florida, I think it will be a good series. And, dude, that Eastern one, that's the one that's like, yeah, everything's a coin flip.
So let me ask you, because you only showed our road to the Final Four. So
you want me to go back there here?
Sure, if you want. I know you don't have the graphics, so we can just talk about it. But so that's obviously yours. So what is your Stanley Cup final?
My Stanley Cup final. I hate to do this, and I will say this is going all emotion. This is, dude. I still got my oven mitts on from taking it out of the Hot Takery Bakery. Colorado, and I hate to say this, Colorado over Toronto. But I have Colorado pasted down as my winner of the Stanley Cup. Now, I don't know who you have, but if I had to put money on it, again, I said Colorado, Toronto is my heart. If you want my wallet bet, I still think Colorado is going to win the whole thing. Although I think Minnesota is going to make it real interesting. But I think if I'm betting money, Colorado over Carolina.
So, and that's based on your bracket.
Yes. Now we're looking at yours.
Yeah, so throw it up.
Yeah, so your Final Four, Toronto, Isles, Lightning, Avalanche.
Yeah, so, and based on the seeding, you're going to have one conference, it's not a conference final, but one conference final be Colorado, then the Islanders. I think Colorado takes it. And the other one, you have the Lightning over the Maple Leafs. I think the Lightning take it, and then I think the Lightning are going to beat the Avalanche. I think we're going to see a repeat.
Repeat?
Bold
you mean
prediction.
Tampa? Okay, so Tampa's going to repeat as champion, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
All right. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I think we all seem to be of the opinion that it's going to be one of three. It's going to be Carolina, Colorado, or Tampa.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah. And again, though, I think we can also sit there and go, well, we can also say that off of, despite the jersey that I'm wearing, we can say that just based off history. When was the last time that a Canadian team won a Stanley Cup? Like 28 years ago?
Yeah, 1993.
Yikes.
I think Toronto will walk their way to the Final Four. Kind of a mystery after that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Edmonton. I like Winnipeg. I like Montreal. Toronto's just better than all three of them.
All righty. And so I think it's a good time to wrap it up. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have time to do a screen cap of the tweet of the week because it came from me. F you, everybody else. But no, the reason why I put this up is because I was just like, I watched the game and I thought, like, let's go back. couple years ago when San Jose played Vegas in the playoffs. Do y'all remember? Because we made fun of this. Do y'all remember when, like, the hit counter, like, Vegas was credited for, like, 82 hits in the game? We all remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the silliest things I'd ever seen in my life.
But then on the road games, they had, like, 20 hits.
Yeah. But, okay, so we got that one sitting up there, and that's just as kind of like a little placeholder. Let me throw this on top of it. Just for the giggles. Let's see if I can try to clean this up a little bit because there's some old stuff in here, obviously. So it's not going to look great. What are you going to do? All right, I'm puck guying all over the place. No, I'm kidding, Eric. Calm down. Talk you off the ledge. But look at this. Tell me you're a homer without telling me you're a homer.
Yeah,
Dude,
I mean,
how is it that Talbot 42 saves for a shutout and he's the third star?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I don't have a problem with Fleury being a star, but
neither do I.
But over Talbot, no chance.
Dude, there's no reason Talbot should not have been the number one star.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to make Fleury the second star and make Eriksson the third, fine. But dude, 42 saves in another, in the opposing barn. Gets the shutout. Talbot, you talk to Ian Reed, not the biggest believer in Cam Talbot. so if you pull this out, and third star, dude, you are the biggest homers. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I had to get that out because I just thought that was the dumbest thing. But the dumbest, but yet something that the Vegas media is known for. They are huge homers.
Mm-hmm.
As Jerk likes to say, sad. So with that, I think we can probably wrap up this show, wrap up this season of the Pucknologists. As far as I know, we are on hiatus after this until the Sharks start playing again. There might be one little thing that we do during the summer, probably to, I don't know, wrap up the draft and all that stuff. But other than that, or maybe okay, here, this is the fun part. You know how you're watching a TV show from, like, I don't know, middle of September through April, and that's the TV season, and you follow that show and you enjoy it and you watch it. But then summer, they have the season finale, and then summer happens, and then they take a different show and they put it in that time slot to see how that goes. I think what I'm trying to tell you is maybe in a couple weeks, what you will see in our time slot is the Teal Tinted Glasses reboot.
Maybe.
Could happen. Just saying, keep an eye out for it. But as far as I know, this is the end of the Pucknologists for this season, barring a very special Pucknologist.
Yeah, I mean, unless
sometime during the summer.
Yeah, unless it's decided the Sharks can come back and play games before next season.
Yeah.
Which...
Okay, here, I'll make you this deal right now. The Pucknologists will come back if Toronto is in the Stanley Cup final. If Jumbo is in the final, I'm there.
Sure.
Oh, fuck you. Okay.
I don't know. I like Joe Thornton, but I don't know. I'm not one of these people who's, like, falling over themselves.
I just want to see Chief win it.
Oh, me too, but...
Okay, then. Stop it. You can follow him at hockey_jerk. You can follow me at AJ_strong. Any topics that you'd like us to get into, well, you've got all summer to hit us up. So with that, famous last words. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Oh, man. I am such a bad host.
Ooh, Barracuda.
All right, so the Barracuda play a play-in game against the Tucson Roadrunners on Tuesday, play whoever wins the other game on Wednesday, and then they face Henderson if they make it all the way. Will they? Probably not. Anyway, so with that...
It should also be said, this play-in tournament, this play-in tournament that is being done for the AHL specific division, a 133 out of 141 polled players don't want to play in it.
Like 90% of the team don't want to do it, and yet here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. All right, Jerkman. Famous last words, buddy.
Famous last words.
Yeah, whip 'em out.
The season is over. Thank God.
Regular.
We're Sharks fans. We're a Sharks podcast. Our season is over.
Oh, okay. I feel you.
You know what? It was another bad one. But maybe the real treasure was the friends we made along the way.
I will remember.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was a shitty season, but I feel like we had some good moments.
Yes, I remember both of them vividly.
I'm excited to hopefully start season 6 of the Pucknologists talking about the Sharks' new goaltender. Oh, so we'll put a pin in that.
Yes, shall we? I am AJ_strong on the social media. Did you know that Joe Pavelski I'm not letting it go, man. 51 points plus 22. Third best statistical season of his career. Fucking washed up has been. Am I right, Jerk?
Yeah, clearly he should have quit while he was ahead.
Did you know that over half of his goals came on the power play?
Hey, specialist.
Hey, I'm a Sharks fan. What's a power play?
You know what though? To be the devil's advocate, I will say, with the information at the time, it was right to let him go. But with the information of today, May 16th, 2021,
yeah, my balls hurt.
maybe they should have kept him.
Maybe. So do us a favor, everybody. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on the UbiTube. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. Follow us or subscribe or whatever the option is on your favorite podcast platform. We would certainly appreciate it, because if you ever miss a show and want to catch it again, you can find it on that podcast platform at tealtownusa.com. And, of course, every show can be found on the UbiTube. I just like to call it the UbiTube. So should we stretch this shit out for another 7 minutes for a solid hour and a half?
No, we should not.
Oh, sounds good then.